speaker. Thank
Just
you.
remember, my mother's name is Edith. It really is.
That's funny.
Tip of the day.
Yes, good morning, team. Do we have any cooks in the room? Anybody that enjoys cooking? Yeah, well, it can be a perilous job at times, of course, right? The heat of the stoves, the kitchen. My wife and I, we owned a chain of restaurants for about 12 years, and two of the most incredible challenges we had was make the best use of our money and the best use of our time. It could be a very perilous and challenging task, right? So, what I brought here today is a tip that can help all of us in the kitchen. How many of you like to cook with garlic? All right, how many of you like to use the fresh garlic? How many of you are become fairly discouraged by the perilous task of peeling that garlic? Okay, I need a volunteer, somebody with a watch. I've got a bulb of garlic here, and I'm going to show you how to peel that bulb of garlic in 10 seconds. Fair enough? It can be perilous, be careful, it'll work. Lay the garlic bulb down on its face, press, pull it apart, put your garlic in your bowl, cover it with a smaller bowl. Tell me when to start and stop me at 10 seconds.
Well, I already started at 12 now.
Okay.
Restart, right?
Get ready to go. Tell me when.
Go.
Time. That was 10.
There you are. Peeled garlic.
Pass the pizza.
Oh, that is such a good tip.
Thank you very much for that tip.
Oh, man.
Welcome.
And it's a good workout.
And by the way, to get the peels off of the garlic, you just fill it with water and the peels flow over.
Oh, wow.
So, without any further ado, one more ice tip, or ice factoid, I guess. When ice goes directly from solid to water vapor, it doesn't freeze into a liquid or melt into a liquid. It's called sublimation. So we have three wonderful speakers today. Our first speaker will be Alex, and Alex's project is from an interview, and it's from the Speaking on Television. His evaluator is Bruce. Bruce, could you tell us his objectives and a little bit about his speech?
Yes, I'll do that. Alex, they sent out a press release announcing that they have these neat new programs about swimming, and Sacramento sent a response back to give Alex a TV interview. So this is a practice interview for this week that he will be, and they supplied them questions with answers, or I don't know, did you give them answers? No. But anyway, they did give him some questions, suggested questions. So Alex, this is his practice interview for the real thing here later this week.
Okay, by way of introduction, thank you, Bruce. By way of introduction, drowning rates in the U.S. are unacceptable, with over 3,400 unintentional drownings in 2014. Taking action to reduce this number is the right thing to do. Having 50% of the U.S. population that still does not know how to swim is clearly a contributing factor. What we can do to reduce this number what can we do to reduce this number that in turn will help reduce the number of drownings? The National Swimming Pool Foundation embarked on a 10-year campaign 4 years ago to create 1 million more swimmers. Through this step into swim program, children's swim lessons are funded to create more swimmers. The Step Into Swim campaign asks private and public sectors to sponsor or donate to a proven group of organizations that will teach people to swim. Please welcome Alex and his interviewer, Jackie.
Welcome to SAG & Co. Today we have Dr. Alex Antoniou of the National Swimming Pool Foundation speaking to us a little bit about the Step Into Swim campaign. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you, Jackie.
There are so many pools throughout California, but many of our viewers may not be familiar with the National Swimming Pool Foundation. What are you all about?
Well, Jackie, the National Swimming Pool Foundation has been around for 50 years now, and we believe that everything we do helps people live healthier lives. And we do this by encouraging healthier living through aquatic participation, but we also care about how swimming pools are looked after. So we need to make sure that the pools are safe for people to use, so we want to make sure that we keep pools open and we keep pools safe. But we also have 900 instructors that train 30,000 people a year in how to maintain swimming pools.
It's quite a bit. Your training focuses on the care of swimming pools then. Why is being able to swim so important to you and the company?
Now, when you talk about swimming, people just think about swimming laps. And that's really not what we're focused on. Certainly, it's a part of it. But we look at three things. Learning how to swim helps reduce the drowning rate. When you look at the drowning rates around the country, the data from 2014 with over 3,400 unintentional drownings, and here in California, when you look at unintentional drownings, there were close to 400 unintentional just in California. And the most at-risk population is the 1 to 4-year-olds. And at swimming pools in California in 2014, there were over 100 unintentional deaths in the 1 to 4-year range. So we care about the drowning rate and reducing that drowning rate. The other thing is swimming also opens the door to other activities. I mean, let's just think about it, right? It's not just swimming laps. Maybe you're going to the local Y and you're involved in an aerobics class. Maybe you're hanging out at the pool with your family, with your friends. So it opens up, learning how to swim opens up the door to many other activities for you. And the third reason is it's fun.
Right.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, when you think about the gym, how many families spend a day at the gym with their kids, spend 8 hours at the gym? They don't do that, but they do spend 8 hours at the pool in the summer.
That's very true, very true. So you have started this Step Into Swim campaign to help more people become swimmers. How does that program work?
We thought it was important as an organization, as a non-profit organization, to do something about the drowning rate, but also to do something about the health and wellness of individuals. Right? Reducing the drowning rate is an honorable and incredibly important thing for us to do as a society, but it's also a way for kids to learn an activity that is lifetime. What other activity can you think of that you can do literally from birth to death? You know, when you think about healthy living, swimming is a way to achieve that for a lifetime. So the Step Into Swim program, which we started 4 years ago to create 1 million more swimmers, 1 million more than would normally learn how to swim in that 10-year period. We decided that we needed to join hands with other organizations in the industry because we cannot accomplish this ourselves. So as an organization, we have dedicated the next 10 years to creating these additional swimmers.
Wonderful, wonderful. We have a video on that. Let's take a look.
Swimming introduces kids to the benefits of a healthy lifestyle. And a healthy kid is a confident kid.
So that was just one of our partners there, Jackie. We're a supporter of the Swim Today program, which is a USA Swimming, the Olympic governing body that looks at Olympians. But the Swim Today program encourages more kids to participate in the team sport of swimming. Because think about when you parents put their children through swim lessons, usually once they've gone through the swim lessons and they've learned how to swim, that's it. They don't go any further. So we want to encourage children to continue in the sport of swimming for the health benefits, for the confidence, and the self-esteem and everything that goes with it.
Wonderful. Some people don't think swimming is fun. Why do you think that is?
Well, that's because when you think about swimming, traditionally it's about swimming laps. And how much fun is swimming laps?
Not very.
Not very. So it's about learning how to do other activities. Learning how to swim opens the door to other activities. For me as a parent, teaching my son how to swim opened the door to us engaged in other activities. We trained him to be a scuba diver.
Really?
So the memories I have of my son learning how to swim, which allowed him to become certified as a diver, which allowed us to go on trips together to dive together. So that's some of the things that swimming can open the door to. But it's other things. You know, when I was growing up, I have fond memories of my parents taking us to the beach in Cyprus, my birthplace. And it was an incredible experience. So learning how to swim opens up the avenue to create these lifetime memories that you have with your friends and your family. So that's where the fun aspect comes into it.
Right, I have to agree. You mentioned the Step Into Swim campaign many times now. Tell us more about it.
As the supporter of the sponsor of the Step Into Swim campaign, people can donate funds to the Step Into Swim program. And we're not the organization that teaches the swimming. You know, we don't do that. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. There are many organizations out there that do an excellent job in their Learn to Swim programs, whether it's the YMCA, whether it's the American Red Cross, or other organizations, small organizations. And we have funded several of those organizations to provide free swim lessons to underprivileged children that normally can't afford to learn how to swim. So whether it's funding of the swim lessons themselves, but it's also funding of the transportation to get the children to the facility.
Really?
It's also funding equipment, whether it's the swimsuits or the goggles that they need for their swim lessons. So that's what the Step Into Swim. And we, in fact, here in California, we have funded a program in Palm Springs for the last 2 years in teaching children how to swim. And then another recent program that we have begun to fund last year and continuing to fund is a program called Angels of America's Fallen. And they're headquartered in Colorado Springs, but they have a national reach.
Really?
So we do regional funding, but we also do national funding. And the Angels of America's Fallen is a program that provides an avenue for children of fallen heroes. So when those children lose a parent in the military, they've sacrificed, the ultimate sacrifice. Those children sometimes need, most of the time, if not all the time, need support, they need guidance. And Angels of America's Fallen provides that for them. And one of the activities that they provide is Learn to Swim
Really?
lessons.
That's wonderful.
So we have begun to fund the Angels of America's Fallen program to teach children how to swim.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you brought a testimonial of that today, right?
I did.
Angels of America's Fallen was formed as a nonprofit to serve children of fallen military and first responders. Angels of America's Fallen was formed as a nonprofit to serve children of fallen military and first responders. We come alongside children from the time of loss to the age of 18 and serve them and connect them in their local communities with healthy passions for them to pursue, to keep them active and keep them engaged, and to keep them on the path that we don't want them going down. We basically do this to honor and to validate the loss of their hero. They wake up every day with that loss, so we just try to come alongside them to help them with healthy passions to pursue. And it's an honor on our part to be involved and get to know these families and just be a blessing. And it's a blessing to us to be part of their story.
Angel American Fallen is very supportive towards Ryan, my child. He learned a lot. He has a male mentor, what he really needed. And we really appreciate it because he gets to learn a new sport, it keeps him busy, it keeps him from being too sad about what happened, and it is amazing. They are not just here on a level to support in sports and what they do, they are always privately involved, like asking and coming to games, and we appreciate it a lot.
It's beautiful to see all those children back there playing and learning how to swim. It is. It's wonderful. If someone wishes to help your campaign Step Into Swim, what can they do to help?
There's really two things that you could do. As a parent, as a grandparent, you need to enroll your children into Learn to Swim programs. There's nothing more valuable than creating lifetime memories with your children, whether it's at a swimming pool, at a beach, at a lake beach, wherever it is. So please enroll your children into Learn to Swim programs. That's the first thing that you can do. The other thing that you could do is to support the Step Into Swim program is by donating funds and then we'll guide that money to the appropriate programs that need help.
Wonderful. I think you have a wonderful and special program here.
We do, and one of the things that we are committing to here in California is if any donation that is given to the Step Into Swim program before the end of the month, we will match that donation up to $7,000 to help support Learn to Swim programs here in California, whether it's through Angels of America's Fallen or through the Palm Spring program or through the local Y. So we are making that commitment to match up to $7,000 in donations to Learn to Swim programs in California.
Wow, that is wonderful. How can people give today?
They can go to the website, stepintoswim.org, and there's a big Donate Now button that they can click on, and they can just contact us at the National Swimming Pool Foundation as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in today, Alex. We had a wonderful
Jackie.
time.
Time management is terrible. Our next speaker will be Tim Figge, and his evaluator, doing his first evaluation, is Jason. Give us some info.
Thank you, Madam Postmaster. Tim is doing his 7th project, and it's the research project. His objectives are collect information about your topic from numerous sources, carefully support your points and opinions with specific facts, examples, and illustrations gathered. And his speech, though I think it's going to be kind of difficult for him, is going to be 5 to 7 minutes, and yet he is required to bring forth a large amount of research from numerous sources. So,
6 to 8?
Tim.
6 to
8, please.
6 to 8.
He requested 6 to 8, although the manual has 5 to 7 minutes, so that's why Jason said that. Thank you, Jason. Tim came to believe that there are too many guns in an unusual way 30 years ago. Since then, he has been provided nearly daily reminders that he might be right. Today, he will present some of the research he has dug up to check out his long-held belief. Please welcome him.
Every morning my wife and I wake up and we read the news together. Last Saturday it was no different. Vicki says to me, 2 people shot outside a Colorado Springs bar. I just responded the same way that I always do. Shake my head and say, too many guns. Sunday morning, same thing. 3 people shot outside a Colorado Springs bar. Again, too many guns. Oh yeah, and a wife shot her husband at a shooting range in Colorado Springs. Too many guns. Now, I'm not going to go all political on you today and tell you who to vote for. I've just had this long-standing belief that there are too many guns in the United States. I came to this realization in kind of an embarrassing way. When I was a young man, but a lot older than I care to admit, my brother and I thought it'd be a great idea to take the guns out of my dad's closet out to shoot them at a ranch that he worked at. So we first started shooting cans and bottles off of fence posts, but that wasn't exciting enough. So we started throwing things in the air to try to shoot at that, but that wasn't exciting enough. Then we decided to have a quick draw contest. So on my last shot, I jammed the gun into the holster. My finger got pinched between the leather and the trigger, and the gun went off. I shot myself. It went right through into my leg and came out right above my knee. I could have shot myself in the knee or shot myself in the foot. What was my dad thinking, having all these guns in the house? Clearly there were too many guns in his house, or maybe too many idiots. Anyway, that's how I came to this belief that there are really just too many guns around for people to have access to. In 2011 in the United States, 32,251 people were killed by guns. This year it looks like the rate of auto fatalities will be lower than the number of guns, or gun deaths in the United States. So just think about that. You hurtle down the highway at 70 miles an hour with people hurtling down the highway at 70 miles an hour right next to you and coming at you every single day. You never even think about it. And it's less dangerous than a gun that sits in your closet that may never be fired in the entire year. Gun ownership in the United States is the highest in the world. There are 112 guns for every 100 people in the United States. That means there's one gun for every man, woman, and child in the United States. The second country down is Serbia at 69. Half as many guns as there are in the United States. Germany and France, countries that we typically compare ourselves to, are about 30. So is Iraq. Iran and Afghanistan are only about 7 guns for every 100 people in their countries. Think about that when you think about how violent some of those countries really are. In Japan, however, you have to talk to nearly 200 people to find one person that owns a gun. It's kind of interesting. How about deaths by guns? It's one thing to have guns, but how many people actually get hurt by the guns or killed? Turns out that the U.S. ranks 12th out of 73 countries that are ranked in Wikipedia. Not as bad as I really expected. We're in the company of Mexico, Uruguay, and Argentina. About 10 gun deaths for every 100,000 people. France and Germany, again, countries that we typically compare ourselves to, are about 3 for France and 1 for Germany. Japan is almost unmeasurable. But Honduras is the loser, with 7 times the gun deaths that there are per capita as in the United States. So if I told my family that I'm going to go on vacation or maybe a business trip to Honduras, they might think that I was crazy, or maybe I was going to become a rebel fighter or drug trafficker or something, right? But it turns out that it's just as dangerous to go to New Orleans. New Orleans has the same gun death rate as Honduras. Some other places that I typically go is Chicago. My family's from Chicago. My parents live there. My brother lives there. I go there once or twice a year. Chicago's about the same as El Salvador. Last year I went to Miami on vacation in the wintertime. And it turns out that I would have been safer in Mexico. I would have been twice as safe in Mexico and about the same as in Colombia. One other area that I looked into was suicide rates. We hear a lot about homicides, about shootings, about accidental shootings in the United States in the papers. We don't hear a lot about suicides for good reasons. It turns out that suicides are twice as likely as homicides in the United States to be done with a gun. That really shocked me. When we look at ourselves compared to other countries, we're second in the world when it comes to suicide rates by gun deaths. France and Germany, countries that we again typically compare ourselves to, are about 1/7 and 1/3. Japan is less than 1% of the gun death rate for suicide as the United States, so really low. We hear a lot about mass shootings. There's about one mass shooting every 2 weeks in the United States using guns. But we're a big country, so how does that compare? It's similar to countries like Serbia, Macedonia, and Uruguay. The UK and France are about half to 1/3 of our rates. So I still think there's way too many guns after doing all this research. I do think it's kind of interesting that with 360 million guns in the United States, that there aren't actually more gun-related shootings and killings. I'm still going to shake my head and say too many guns every time I hear it. And my dad, he's 81 now, he still has guns in his closet that he thinks are there for personal safety. But so far, they've only been shot at one human being.
Thanks, Tim. Shot in the foot. Our next speaker, Greg Williams, will be evaluated today by Brian Bohannon. Can you tell us his objectives?
Absolutely. Greg is speaking from the Interpersonal Communications Manual, and it's his third speech called The Guide of Diffusing Verbal Criticism. His objectives are to respond non-defensively, employ a 5-step method to identify the problem, diffuse the attack, and arrive at the solution. His speech will be 10 to 14 minutes.
Thank you, Brian. You forgot our anniversary. You really don't care about me, do you? You never say anything good about me or compliment when I do something right. The way you run your business is deplorable. You never return my phone calls or emails. It's easier to criticize someone than to receive criticism. Not a week goes by when we are probably not criticized. But most of us don't handle criticism well, nor do we actually benefit from it. Our next speaker will give us ways to handle criticism and show us how to embrace it and grow from it. Please help me welcome Greg Williams with his speech, Turning Criticism into Compliment Can Lead to Change. Greg?
Proverbs 15:1 says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our honored guests, how many of you have been criticized in the past 3 months? I hate being criticized. Just a couple of weeks ago, while at the gym, someone comes up to me and criticized me for my good looks. Fellow Toastmasters, this morning, my speech is broken into 3 parts. I will give you 5 tips on how to handle criticism better. The second part will be a role play, and the third part will be your feedback on the role play. Now, my goal for the speech this morning is not only to give you 5 tips on how to handle criticism, but my goal is to help you to turn criticism into a compliment that will result in change. Turning criticism into a compliment that will result in change. So the 5 tips with regards to handle criticism are, the first one, when someone comes up to you and criticizes you, listen. Listen. Now, a lot of us will hear what they're saying in order to respond. But listen in order to receive and understand what they're saying. So the first tip is to listen to what the person is criticizing you about. The second tip, acknowledge that person. Acknowledge what they're saying. We tend to have the tendency of wanting to criticize them when they criticize us. So acknowledge what their point is with regards to their criticism towards us. The third tip, ask questions. Ask questions. Get clarification in what they are criticizing you about. Make sure you understand what the criticism is about. The fourth one is paraphrase. Repeat back to them what they have said to you so that you have a better understanding of what they said to you. And the fifth and final one is address a solution. Address a solution. And even the person who's criticizing you may be able to help you with that solution. Aristotle once said, in order never to be criticized, there's 3 things you should do. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. Now I'd like to invite the lovely Miss Carol Newhouse up to help me with a role play with regards to criticism. Let's give Carol a hand. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Greg.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So how's your week?
Oh, my week has been great.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
Awesome.
had a great week.
Nice, good. Yes?
Do you want to talk to me?
Yeah, well, do you have something you want to tell me?
Well, I thought we were getting together so we could
Yeah,
communicate.
we are together, Carol.
But I feel like I'm second best here. You're on the phone again.
Again? Oh, what do you mean, Carol?
Well, it seems like every time you and I get together, you're so involved with the phone. Can you just not use it for maybe 15 minutes?
Okay, so is it every time we get together I'm doing this?
Not every time. I may be exaggerating a little, but a lot of times. If you're not on the phone, if you're not texting, you're on the phone, and then I have to wait.
Carol, I didn't realize I was doing that.
I know, but we're in a world with just technology. It's
I know,
just numerous.
and especially with these new iPhones, I mean, they do everything. I mean, you can play music, you can text your mom and dad, and man, you can Facebook and Twitter and all that other stuff.
But that's inundating.
Yeah.
Well, it's taking away from communication.
So let me make sure I get this right, Carol, and maybe it's a blind spot of mine. You're saying that most of the time, or a lot of the times you and I have gotten together, that I've been somewhat ignoring you by spending more time on this mobile device.
That is correct.
Any thoughts on how maybe I can change that, Carol, or?
Oh, sure. Leave the phone in the car.
Oh, and maybe if I'm unable to leave it in the car, maybe I just cut it off.
Well, you
and
can silence it.
And silence it and stuff, or give you full attention when you're